Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, babies in their diapers, welcome to the Tiberius Show with your host, Tiberius Boy.
That's me, Tiberius.
And welcome to the Tiberius Show today, and I'm your host, Tiberius Boy. And as always, we're looking at various jobs and how they affect the world around us. Today's test is going to be very interesting. We're going to talk to hold up, let me make sure that I got this right. An acute care nurse practitioner, right? Okay. Well, do you have any idea what a nurse practitioner does? Well, neither do I, so let's find out. Let me introduce our next guest, the one, the only, the amazing Monica Sanford.
Thank you so much. A pleasure to be here.
Well, thank you for being on the show.
Thank you for giving me a call. This is great. You're amazing. I'm glad you do this for careers.
Well, thank you. Okay, so you were listed as an acute nurse practitioner. For my listeners who have no idea what that means, can you explain it to us?
I can. I started out as a nurse about 25 years ago. So as I progressed, I am now a doctorate in nursing practice. So you can go from a nurse and then to a specialty as a nurse practitioner. We have nurse practitioners as a family nurse practitioner that is primary care. We have some that are psych mental health that just do psychiatric mental health patients. We have some that deliver babies, some that put you to sleep if you go to surgery, and those are CRNAs. And then I'm an acute care nurse practitioner, which means I take care of patients in critical care areas, the acute care. So if they come into the hospital and have to be admitted, or they are having some critical episode, an acute episode, a stroke, a heart attack, things like that, they call me. That's the patient population that I deal with as an acute care nurse practitioner.
I see. So what is the difference between a normal nurse and an acute nurse?
Well, the normal, and I'm glad you asked, because all nurses are different, and you can go into the nursing field to do different things. Like I said, some love mother baby and want to work on that floor. I have always done critical care cardiology, which is taking care of patient hearts. So then you start off as a nurse, you go to school to be a nurse, and then you advance your practice into advanced practice nursing, which is the nurse practitioner. So I started off as a nurse and was a nurse over 15 years before I went back for my nurse practitioner.
I see. So what is cardiology, and why did you pick that area to specialize in?
Great question, because that's my passion. That's what I've done for now, again, over 25 years. I chose cardiology, and that is taking care of patients with heart issues. And I take care of heart issues because my son was born with a congenital heart defect. He is now 33. He's doing great. So he was born with a heart problem that kind of thrust me into being a nurse and a heart nurse and taking care of hearts. Now I don't do kids' hearts. I don't do baby hearts. I do only adult.
Got it. So when did you know that this was the profession that for you?
Oh, that was it. When I had my business degree first, I had my bachelor's in business administration, was doing business and management, and then my son was born with a heart defect. So instantly I pivoted and knew that totally changed the trajectory of my life. I went back to nursing school to learn how to take care of him, and then just kept advancing to through my career and through my profession to be a doctorate in nursing practice.
I see. So does it take a lot of training to do this job?
It does. It is totally doable. Definitely. I would recommend anybody that wants to be a nurse to, stay in their STEM classes, stay in their science and math and technology, things like that. We have the newer trends coming out in nursing, of course, are all innovative and technology and AI and, all the buzzwords that you hear now. But you can be a nurse after high school, go back to be a nurse within 2 years to 4 years, depending on what degree you already have. So,
okay.
Yeah. And the nurses they're smart. I mean, it's not just a tasky oriented. You have to be able to critically think and, use clinical judgment, things like that. So, definitely have to be able to think.
Okay, so what are the types of tasks that you have to do every day?
Little bit different from a nurse to a nurse practitioner, but me as a nurse practitioner, I go and see patients and do their physical exam, do what we call their interview. I talk to them, get their history, get the reason why they're coming to the hospital, of course, and do the physical exam, order things, do diagnostic testing. I analyze those results, order other things that will help their clinical process through their admission. The nurse practitioners, the family nurse practitioners in clinic, they see patients that come in clinic and do the same. They do their exam and their interviews and talk to them and make
Mm-hmm.
sure they're chronic care management, meaning taking care of their blood pressure and diabetes and things like that.
Mm-hmm. So what is the best part about being an acute nurse practitioner?
I 100%, it's an honor and a privilege to be able to do what I do, because to be able to know, to have the knowledge and the critical thinking skills and clinical judgments, things like that, that you talk to a patient, you look at testing, and then you know what is going on with the patient to make sure they're healthy. So you make sure they're healthy and you're able to give them back to their family better than when they came to see you, or we educate them. We have a lot of our time is on preventative medicine. So we are talking to them about how to care for their blood pressure, how to prevent a stroke, how to prevent a heart attack, things like that. So that's the best thing for me, is able to prevent them from a progression of a disease that could keep them out of the hospital.
Mm-hmm. Now, here's seems like a good time to take a quick commercial break. Let's hear a word from our sponsors.
The Tiberius Show would like to thank one of their dedicated sponsors, Custom Designs Orlando. These guys are on Mills Avenue and do all sorts of stuff, ranging from photo ID badges, engraved signs, custom braille ADA signs, vinyl lettering to trophies and awards. The cool part about Custom Designs is they can ship products all over the United States. You can reach them at 407-898-0373 and tell them that
Tiberius
sent you.
And we are back here talking with Monica Sanford. She's an acute nurse that specialized in cardiology. So, Monica, do you still see patients every day?
Not every day. I have gotten to a point where I see patients, what we call PRN, as needed. The hospital call me if they need extra staff. So I will go to different hospitals and see patients, or I see patients at a local free clinic here in town. Or right now I teach courses at our local university. So I kind of bounce around, and a lot of stuff I just came back from DC. I do a lot of stuff with national and local and state advocacy, legislation, things like that. So anything having to do with cardiology and nurse practitioners, I'm usually sitting on Capitol Hill talking about it.
Mm-hmm. Now, you also work in the management side of nursing. Well, can you tell me more about that?
I was, and now it is. And that's what another thing that I would definitely recommend anybody that wants to go into nursing is to do management, any kind of leadership development classes, management classes, business classes, things like that. So how the administration, the hospital administration, nursing administration deals with staffing and budget and things like that. So so I've done some of that, and now it is more, writing grants, grant proposals, things like that on the other side to bring in money to help our patients.
Mm-hmm. Well, what is the most misunderstood part about being a nurse?
Oh, wow. Great question. Misunderstood. One would be that it's all women. It is definitely a lot of women. It's, majority, but a ton of males are coming into nursing, and we need them. So we need a lot of males that come in. They work a lot in our critical care units, a lot in our ERs. That just tends to be what they gravitate toward, in our cath labs, in our ORs, things like that. So probably misunderstood would be that. And also that nurses are just carrying out orders that I give them or the physician gives them, that nurses just carry them out. But like I said before, nurses are, you have to think, you have to critically think, you have to clinically manage your thoughts and diagnosis and your clinical judgment. So it definitely takes a lot of, like I said, business background, leadership background, clinical understanding, things like that.
Well, can you tell me what elements makes for a good nurse?
Definitely remaining calm in a very high stress environment will help. So, if you can remain calm in a critical environment, caring is definitely fundamental to any nursing. We are the most respected, career and profession year after year. People come to nursing for education. So, if you can educate and talk and again, I keep coming back to the critical thinking, but definitely you have to be able to think through what you're doing, why you're doing it, how you're doing it, how this is going to affect, impact the patient, impact the families, impact their entire plan of care.
So, what's the biggest challenge facing aspiring nurses today?
Workforce challenges definitely are workforce challenges. It's a lot of people, it's getting them enrolled in the programs and their time to get enrolled in the programs. And of course, like I said before, the trends are going toward higher technology, higher bringing the AIs in, bringing the telehealth in, different challenges that we are going to be teaching them in our program. So funding definitely is for high-tech simulation labs. The national federal government and the state governments are now giving a lot of funding and appropriations to different nursing programs to help with their high-tech simulations. So we're getting there. COVID was a big hit to nursing. And now we're building back up.
Well, talking about COVID, what was the most frustrating part about the pandemic for your industry?
Frustrating would be a lot of cross communication. I don't like the word miscommunication so much, but cross communication from media, from medical people, from all kinds of political. There was just so much going on, and mostly if you were not in the hospital directly dealing with patient care, patients with COVID, I would hear a lot of stuff that people would say, but they had no real understanding of taking care of that patient. So that was the most frustrating, is trying to combat a lot of cross, communication. And you just kind of have to ground it to bring them, give them the facts.
I see. So, what is the largest difference between being a nurse and a doctor?
One is those are two totally different, and that's another misunderstanding, is people go to nursing school because they can't be a doctor, they don't want to be a doctor, things like that. It's doctors go to very specialized, physician schools, but now nurse practitioners are also very specialized. So we go very advanced training, very advanced schooling. But they're just different tracks. So right now in most states, almost 40 states now, there's the nurse practitioner can have their own clinic. They can be what we call autonomous practice or independent practice and open their own clinic and be the provider for these patients.
I see. So, do nurses and doctors ever disagree about what to do with a patient? And if so, how do you resolve it?
Good question. I wouldn't say disagree, because especially in the hospital at the level, when we take care of really acute patients or urgent patients, critical type patients, it is a very collaborative effort. We are talking with, physicians that I work with. They come to us for information that they may not have gotten. So it is a very collaborative effort. We talk about the patient, talk about the plan of care, talk about, the medication we're going to do, the diagnosing we're going to do. So I wouldn't say disagree. It's just, you have to go, the physician or the nurse practitioner has got to go with the reasoning, the reasoning for this medication or this diagnostic testing, things like that. So, and we just talk about it. I don't think there's much disagreeing. It's just you talk about it like adults and come to a conclusion, come to the plan.
Okay. Well, my dad was in the hospital for a month, and he had a lot of nurses work on him. I've tried for almost 2 years to get a nurse on the show, but most were not allowed to talk to media. Well, why is it so hard to get medical staff to be allowed to talk to about the world of nursing?
Good question. There's and I can't speak for all nurses, of course, but there probably was some type of hesitancy to not feel like they were representing either a political stance or a certain facility, that they were coming from their facility and representing that facility. That, some nurses don't want to do
Yeah.
that. But overall, I think it's just kind of the population in general does not like to speak on camera. They're afraid, not afraid, they just don't do public speaking well, or they don't have the experience to know to when they're asked a question about COVID or anything to be generalized, not very specific of a patient, not very specific of a facility, things like that. So a lot of people don't like public speaking. So I think that would be more of it is, but yeah, the when I say the cross communication, a lot of nurses and medical people, yeah, they don't want
Yeah.
they don't want to add to some kind of communication thing. We just want to do what we do and take care of our patients.
Well, my dad has insurance and was put in the hospital, and I know some people that did not have insurance that were just given a prescription. Well, what's the biggest difference between those that are insured and those that are uninsured?
That's a great question because the number one thing, of course, in healthcare right now is funding and the cost of healthcare. I see patients at a local free clinic here in town. The biggest thing, the difference is if you went into an insured person went into the ER, they would get, everything taken care of course. But an uninsured person going in would also get everything taken care of. The main difference is follow-up care. So if we sent out if we sent out somebody that was uninsured and told them follow up with your specialist or follow up with your primary care, and they don't have insurance, they don't have primary care. So when I see patients in the hospital and I know they're uninsured or homeless or anything, I tell them to come see me at the free clinic. So, because then that will be their follow-up. That will be, I can take care of them. Uninsured patients. We only see uninsured patients at our free clinic. And it's funded from different foundations and state grants and things. So we can get them to care, but that's the main thing is the follow-up care.
Okay, so what is the craziest thing that's happened while you were doing your passion?
Craziest thing. Good question. You have stumped me, I think. It's all crazy. I do. I see all kinds of craziness in the ER and all kinds of critical care issues, things like that. But it's the craziest is probably the immediate, and I know there's probably not sound crazy to you, but that would be an immediate pivot when COVID did come on. When COVID just, filled all the hospitals here in the area that I work for, it was that immediate pivot to, kind of mitigate any kind of spread of the disease and getting patients to telehealth and getting patients, still being seen for their chronic issues. But to me, that was crazy to see how everything just came together very quickly, which showed us that it can be done.
Mm-hmm. Well, if someone wanted to work to be healthier and to avoid going to the hospital, what changes are they looking to doing?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that question. Mainly, if they smoke, stop smoking. If they don't vape, don't smoke. Anything going into your lungs needs to be clear oxygen, not smoke of any kind. Definitely watching the diet. There is things called culinary medicine, meaning they're watching their blood pressure, diabetes, things like that with what they eat. So watch what you eat. The things to never have, according to American Heart Association or American College of Cardiology, are the things that are just packed in salt. No tomato juice, no cans of soup, no hams, salamis, bolognas, things like that. Just have them very rarely. And then, of course, get out and move. Get out, and even if you can walk, 5 minutes a day, get out and walk. Those few things even will benefit you and prevent you from, a progression that you don't want to see. We want to maintain or, get you off medication, make you healthier, things like that.
Mm-hmm. So, what is the story of that one patient that you will never forget?
I have had quite a few of those. But probably one that comes to mind was a very critical cardiology patient. Comes into the ER, and within 2 hours, um, you know, they thought they had no hope, and then within 2 hours, we were transferring them out to a big, huge center, and they did well. So we got them to another center within 2 hours from entering our ER,
Ah,
flying them somewhere else, and they did very well.
I see.
So, so you have
So,
those patients that are amazing.
yeah. So, who can you say was the person that helped drive your passion the most?
That would be my son. Well, my son was born with a congenital heart defect, like I said earlier. And so for the past 30 years, everything I've done has been heart, has been cardiology. So he is definitely behind the why I do what I do. It is, I always remember, I actually carry a little Post-it note in my lab coat that says, remember why you do what you do. Remember why you started. So that's
Hmm.
the main driver, and it helps me take care of all of these heart patients, like those other nurses and physicians took care of my son.
Hmm. So, what advice would you give to my listeners if they wanted to grow up and be in the nursing healthcare field?
I hate to keep coming back to it, but stay in your STEM classes. You definitely need science, definitely need math, your technology, business, leadership courses, things like that that will prepare you to be a great nurse. You have, the caring, you have to have it, of course. You want to make people better, you want to give them back to their family healthier. That's kind of fundamental, but then all the other sciences, you want to be able to critically think through and know why you're doing what you're doing.
Hmm. So, what is the best advice you've ever received, and who gave you that advice?
Oh, wow. That I would say it's not so much a person because I get a lot of advice from a lot of people, and it is books I read, things like that. And it's, again, you just remember why you started to always be thinking you are going to be teaching the next generation of giants. I was, standing on the shoulders of giants, doing what I do and learning to do what I do, and to just know that you're going to be teaching the next generation. So always keep that in mind.
Hmm. So, what was the very first job that you've ever had, and was there anything you learned from that job that helped you be a better acute nurse?
Very cool. You know what? When I was 18, I was a Macy's department store. I worked at Macy's department store, and how that helped me. And I bounced around from shoe department to ladies and things like that. But how that helped me was to be able to always dress professional, look professional, customer service, talk to people, and you had to be able to working at Macy's in the customer service industry, you are always dealing with people. So I think that very, laid a great foundation for business.
Hmm. Well, what message do you want to tell children all over the world about doing the work that you do?
That it is amazing to be able to know how to make somebody feel better. It is amazing to feel and to know that you have helped somebody be healthier and prolong their life or give them back to their family. That it's an amazing feeling to just not just care about somebody, but actually know what it takes to make that person better.
Okay, well, on that note, let's take a quick break to pay some bills. And we are back here with Monica Sanford, and she runs up. Wait, this can't be right. An MMA gym? Hold
I
up. I
did.
thought you were a nurse. How do you get from healing people to beating them up again?
That is, I actually had three gyms open at one time, and I worked for the boxing commission for the state of Georgia for a while. I was a
Wow.
judge, an MMA judge. So that was very fun. That was about 10 years ago. It seems like forever. But
So,
I
do you ever get in the ring?
I have never gotten the ring. I had coaches that would teach my gym boxing and jujitsu and Muay Thai, and they would come in and teach everything, and then we would take fighters to different fights, and then I promoted a fight in for the troops. Anything I did was for the Marine Corps or the troops, but it was fun.
Well, do you think kids should get into the MMA?
Oh wow, that's a very hot topic, huh? I think kids should know different MMA disciplines. Meaning, my daughter did Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. She did boxing. I love kids that come in and do Jiu-Jitsu, do boxing, Muay Thai, karate, anything that they do to have a discipline in some kind of mixed martial arts. I personally do not agree with anyone doing cage fighting as a child. However, I would love it if they all knew every discipline and I know there are a lot of people out there that disagree and love kids fighting, but I'm not one of them.
So, how does being an MMA promoter make the world a better place?
A better place. Well, I know because I took a fight, I was an MMA promoter and took a fight out to the troops in Iraq. And we, quite a few of us went out and we did a whole show out there for the troops that were in Mosul, Iraq at the time. And it was entertainment. And it can, how does it make it's fun? It's fun. It's these guys and ladies. We had some ladies in the cage. They were fighting. They train hard and they put their heart and soul into this, and it is motivating and it is entertainment, and it's very addicting. I still watch UFC. I still watch cage fights, but so it is addicting, but it's entertainment.
Now, what was the coolest thing that has happened in an MMA fight?
I would say they're all cool in different ways, but it would be the flying submissions. Those are probably the coolest, meaning, the one person literally flies up onto the other person, type thing. They fly up there and put them in a flying armbar or a flying triangle, some kind of submission, and then the fight's over, immediately. They have submitted them from some very cool, movement. So those are fun.
Yeah. So if you could go back 10 years and tell yourself something, what would it be?
To probably not get so hung up on things that back then didn't happen, because they didn't happen for a reason. Don't spend so much time being upset about a job I didn't get or something I couldn't do at the time. It's because it all fell into doing what I do now, which is, if I could tell myself, it'd be like, don't get so upset about this because it's going to happen. It's happening for a reason. It's going to work out for the best. And in 10 years, you're going to be great.
So what was the biggest mistake you ever made, and how did it change you as a person?
The biggest mistake. I'm sure I have made a ton of mistakes, so I don't know the biggest one. It's mistakes made along the way, little mistakes, I think, that would add up to kind of big things that, again, though, I don't want to say you beat yourself up over certain little things, and now I look back and go, that wasn't that big a deal, things like that. So those are the little mistakes that you think are little mistakes, and sometimes back then you think are even bigger than they are. That those even add to kind of your foundation of how your wisdom and not to do things again, your experience.
Okay, so when you're not working, what do you do for fun?
I just go out and now I'm at a point where, like tonight, I'm going to a fundraiser. I go out and hang out with my family. It's not too far from here. It's my dad's birthday soon, so a whole family's going out with them. So fun. I still just, go and try to do some kind of Pilates, some kind of, training, relaxing, something healthy, walking, things like that. So I used to do a lot of triathlon, so can't really do a running, biking, swimming right now, but that was, about 10, 15 years ago. I was really into triathlon, so I try to stay healthy and moving.
I see. So do you play video games? And if you do, what is your favorite one?
Oh, wow. I have not played video games in probably 40 years. No, I did.
Not even on your phone?
Not even on my phone. I do Pac-Man. It was Pac-Man and Tetris. I mean, that was 30 years ago.
Yeah.
So it was so the old kind of video games. Is that even a video game? I don't even know what it's
It
called.
is.
Okay.
So
I don't know what they would be called.
Yeah. So what is your favorite book to read?
Literally, where to go? I would have to say my son's book. This is my son's book. He wrote a book about poetry about his heart. This is the EKG. So he wrote a book of poetry, and everything in it is about what his heart would say. And he's had 5 heart surgeries, so
Wow.
so that's why he wrote the book of poetry about heart stuff. But that would be it. Anything other than that, it is all about business and leadership. I mean, if anybody out there is interested in business and leadership, this is probably everybody needs this book. If you are in business and leadership, get the conversational book. But other than that, that's it. I mean, I do nurse practitioner kind of medical journals and business books.
Okay.
I'm kind of boring and nerdy like that. So
Okay. Now, can you tell me that one story? Remember, this is a kid show, but that one story, well, that you're not supposed to tell me about. Come on, you can tell me.
a story I'm not supposed to tell you about. Well, not many people know this. This was quite embarrassing. My husband says I fall over nothing. He's like, literally, you can fall no matter what shoes I'm wearing, no matter what. I just fall for no reason. I can fall over air. But me and my husband went to a resort one time, and right outside of our resort, kind of sliding door opened up into this nice little hill that went down right into the pool area and breakfast area and whatever. And then I didn't know it was, early morning. I didn't know all night long. I guess they watered this big, huge grassy hill.
Oh,
Yeah. So, so my husband, I walk out and I see him down by the pool getting coffee and breakfast and stuff. And so I wave at him, and he literally starts going, "No, don't step on the grass." But of course, I step on the grass and go sliding down this hill right into the pool area in front of everybody. And what are you gonna do? So, but
nothing.
yeah, nothing. You stand up and go, "Okay, well, I meant to do that." But that was quite embarrassing.
Yeah. Well, is there anything else you think my listeners should know about you?
I would probably say just what is maybe coming up next for me, because I've done, like I said, 25 years bedside and in the hospital, things like that. So right now, my main focus is going to be legislative stuff, teaching the next generation, full-time faculty, things like that, and having fun with my podcast. I love doing what I do to help get the word out for awareness, advocacy, education, for all kinds of stuff. So that's probably where I'm kind of settling down into.
I see. So do you have a Facebook or website for my listeners to follow you?
I do. Well, my show is the Monica Sanford Show. Very easy. It's on iHeart and Spotify. And I have my Facebook, if anybody wants to go follow that. It is Monica Silver Sanford. And the silver is because that's my daughter's friends named me Silver because I always wear silver hoop earrings. But and that's my production company is Silver Production. So it's Monica Silver Sanford. Go follow me on Facebook, LinkedIn, anything like that. You can reach me.
Okay. Well, what is that one question that you think I forgot to ask you?
I think, man, you covered a lot. You covered a ton of stuff.
Okay. Well, thank you for being my special guest. Can you stick around for Math Corners?
100%. Definitely. Let's do it. I don't usually do math in public, but let's go.
It's okay.
Over 40 years, Lighthouse Central Florida has provided education, independent life skills, and job training to thousands of Central Floridians who live with blindness or any degree of vision loss. Whether it's picking out clothes in the morning or just moving around your community and serving Orange, Seminole, and Osceola counties, contact Lighthouse Central Florida at 407-898-2483 or visit them online at lighthousecfl.org.
Tiberius' favorite subject, it's Math Corners!
And now it's time for Math Corners. Thank you so much, Monica, for helping me with Math Corners. This week, we are going to do more multi-step word problems. My dad is always good at finding new problems for me to solve. Today, we're going to talk about medication.
Good. That's what I deal with all the time. So let's go.
A nurse is taking care of your mother in the hospital because she has a fever and pneumonia. She is getting an injection of antibiotic every 8 hours. The nurse adds 1.5 milliliters of sterile water into a vial and powdered antibiotic, and this mixture now yields 0.5 grams of the medication in each milliliter of solution. So how much solution should this nurse give your mother if the doctor has ordered 1 gram of the medication?
Or the nurse practitioner has ordered. So
That is true.
yeah, in the hospital, we usually say milligrams. So that's another reason people need to stay in school, because we have to convert a lot and milliliters, we usually say cc's, but we have to make sure that we are yielding what that 1.5 cc's that we're putting in, or 1.5 milliliters, is going to come out to, how much medication is in that. So to me, it's going to be, I think you said, we're going to have to use 2 cc's, 2 milliliters.
Yeah.
Is that correct? I think that's what, because it was 500
is.
500 milligrams or half a gram,
Yeah.
right, in 1 cc. And then, so to get 2 grams,
Want me to explain it?
or 2,000 milligrams is what we would say, would be 2 cc's or 2 milliliters.
Okay, well, this is a real problem because some nurses do have to figure out how much medication to give patients. But I think this is one of those where my dad gives me way too much information to solve it. So let's be careful,
Yeah.
So
That was a good question. That was a good question.
Yeah. So to solve this issue for the people who are listening, you have to first figure out the total yield of medication to each milliliter of solution. So if you go back, it does say that 0.5 grams of medication is in 1 milliliter solution. So 0.5 grams is halfway to what the doctor wanted. So we can take the 1 gram and divide it by 0.5 grams and get 2 doses needed. Or, since we already know that 0.5 is half of what the doctor wanted, we could just double the solution to 2 milliliters and still have the correct answer. But guess what? I was right. All the stuff about the 8 hours and the 1.5 milliliters of water was really just there to distract me from the real problem. So, Monica, did you ever get problems with tons of data that you didn't need to solve it?
100%. That's all we deal with all day long, is all kinds of data. And then you actually have to know what to do with that data, what is relevant, but also, even like that's a great question. And after we figured it out and pulled up 2,000 milligrams or 2 grams or whatever we pulled out, then the nurse is going to have to figure out how long to give it, in a big, huge bag over 30 minutes, an hour, 10 minutes, or some medications we can just push really quick. So all of that is taken into account. All of that, there's a ton of data, and you need to make sure what is relevant for the patient.
Well, my teacher said that I would use math every day. What is the most common way that you use math in your work besides counting medication?
The medication, definitely, but as a nurse practitioner, it is definitely billing. You need to know the math as far as if you are running the unit. Like I had said before, it is, budgeting the full-time nurse practitioners there. How many do you need to take care of how many patients? Things like that are having to do with the finances, the budget, the full-time employees, how much they're paying, and the acuity level. Now we have in the hospital, we can rank our acuity level or complexity of a patient, and then make sure the correct nurse is taking care of that patient. All of that is done mathematically. So there's a lot that goes into the administration of medication, and the administration of the business side of it.
Well, thank you so much, Monica, for your help with Math Corners.
No problem. I think I got it right. I don't know. There was a lot of data in there. I'd have to write it down and figure it out.
You were right. And now it's time for the Heart of a Lion. As you know, we talk about the qualities of living by the Heart of a Lion, which stands for leadership, integrity, obedience, and nobility. Well, this week, we're going to talk about integrity. For me, I think integrity is doing what is right even when no one else is looking. The qualities of integrity is honesty, sincerity, truthfulness, and fairness. So this week, I saw some kids at the bowling alley. They were playing a very serious game. At one point, one of the kids' ball went into the gutter and came back out and hit a pin. He stopped all playing and called for someone from the desk to fix the scores. None of the other kids cared and said just to leave it alone, but he was insistent. He said that he did not earn the extra pin and that he did not want to have extra points that he did not earn. Now that was being honest and fair and ensuring the score was truthful even though it stopped the game and bothered the other players. This was an excellent example of integrity. So, Monica, did you see her use integrity at all this week?
Integrity. I see it a lot, definitely. Different from small to big things. And I know you said the lion part, the leadership, integrity. My husband's in the Marine Corps, he's now retired, but that's actually their definition of integrity too, doing the right thing when no one's looking type thing. Mm-hmm. But the integrity, you know what? I've been working with a cardiologist for years now, and he just retired last week or almost 2 weeks ago now. And he called me the day after he retired and said, "What can I do to come work with you at the free clinic? He wants to be a part of that." It's not really just straight integrity, but he wanted to be able to continue on taking care of patients. This is somebody that has been doing this 50 years. He could have, coasted into retirement. But that level of giving back to his community, the cardiology patients, coming to see free patients that have no insurance, all of that is just, to me, it's the right thing. I see patients there. I give back. So we just, for him to do that, it was very touching. It was very touching moment.
So of all of the Heart of a Lion virtues, which is the one that you see the most?
The one I love to see the most is great leadership. So the leadership, I've worked at so many different facilities, small and big, and the leadership can be just communication. It can be reaching for excellence. So to me, it is, if you have great leaders that inspire, then everybody comes, they understand the mission, the values, the entire organization will be on the same mission.
Mm-hmm. Well, we should always try and be lion strong in everything we do, shouldn't we?
100%.
And that is our show, folks. I want to thank the one, the only, the amazing Monica Sanford for being on my show. It has been so much fun talking to you today. I think we learned a lot about being an acute nurse practitioner and the joys of working in the medical field.
Love it. Thank you so much. It was a great pleasure.
Mm-hmm. Well, do you mind giving your social media and website again?
Monica Sanford Show is my podcast, and they can follow me on my Facebook or LinkedIn at Monica Silver Sanford.
Mm-hmm. Well, also, you can find me on Facebook and Instagram at The Tiberius Show. And I would like to thank WWPR 1490 AM, KINT 98, Soul Radio 24/7, Easy Way TV, and all the other stations that air on my show. Please be sure to visit The Tiberius Show on YouTube and hit that subscribe button. Monica, are you subscribed yet?
I am. I've seen some of your shows. They're great.
Sweet. Oh, and be sure to leave a comment and tell me if you want to be a nurse. Also, be sure to see us next week on The Tiberius Show with your host, Tiberius Boy.